All right.
Live.
We're live. Greatly apologize for the technical difficulties. I don't know exactly what happened or what was going on, but we fixed the problem. Tib Wednesday night, Open Championship week here with Andy Lack. Andy, how are you?
I'm great, dude. I'm just tweeting out the live video that we're on. But dude, I'm really excited, man. I'm curious to hear some of your thoughts, but I think one of the, I've done like 8 pods this week already. And a lot the questions I've asked a lot of the folks I've done it with is how would you rank the majors? So I'm curious as where the Open falls for you in the 4 majors.
Yeah, I'll go Open 1, Masters 2, US 3, PGA 4. I do like the Open. I do like getting up at 4 a.m. before work.
So are you doing that tomorrow?
Yeah, I think so. I've kind of been losing sleep over this Biden diagnosis from COVID that I just heard. So my sleep schedule has been a little bit rough. So I'm hoping I can, maybe take a melatonin tonight and just kind of zone out. But yeah, I'll be up early. Haven't worked the past 3 days, so we got a lot of work to catch up on. But I'm not missing early morning Open Championship golf.
I got an invite to play golf tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. And it requires
at the Cock or?
So we're doing cock at 7, and then I'm ripping over to Maidstone in the afternoon. And then I hit up my buddies at Friars, and they said we could do Friars morning lobster lunch at NGLA and then hit National in the afternoon with a couple
I prefer playing Friars and NGLA in the same day versus the typical Cock NGLA because I like kind of a new course versus an old course. Like it kind of just gets me going. So that's my preferred day. But
the variety, and then generally, if there's room on, we'll sometimes hit Twilight at Sabonic or the Bridge because they're a little more lax with what they let their members get away with. It's a little bit less traditional and stuffy, but it's lining up to be a good weekend. So anyway. The point I was making was I have to wake up at 5. And I was almost thinking about just staying up.
Really? So are you golfing? Did you confirm the invite?
Yeah, I'm playing. I have a 7 a.m. tee time tomorrow. And I'm leaving from the city at 5 a.m.
Vibey day. I'm looking forward to that for you. You never really turn down a tee time. Like you prefer to play versus watch. Like that's definitely a big thing for you. But before we go any further, you guys know I do not promote anything on Tib, like ad-free show. Like I like it that way. But I was reached out to by Kick Back Golf, and they make golf sports jerseys. So this is the Jordan Spieth Texas jersey, Spieth on the back with like a 61. They have a bunch of different options, a bunch of different golfers, their colleges like Pepperdine, Stanford for Tiger, and Tagala. And they're like really high quality. They look great. I like the product. They sent me one. Go check it out. If I was in college and I was going to a Darty, I would be repping this so hard, like double cup natty light, and people would just be all over these jerseys. Kickback Golf. Check it out. Golfer, baseball, and basketball jerseys. Andy, your thoughts. This is not your style, but you like it?
Yeah, it's sweet. Do you have a promo code I could use?
No promo code. Okay. Just doing this out of the kindness of my heart. Go check it out if you like sports jerseys and golf. I think it's kind of a cool idea. Like not, don't have an equity stake in Kickback Golf or anything, but I just thought it was a cool product. They sent me this. I'm wearing it to softball next week. Check it out. They got some good stuff over there.
I was going to ask if they could make me like a Boston Common Rory one.
They do have Rory Ireland one.
Okay, sweet.
So there are some a lot of different options. So I just liked it. But back to the show, Open Championship week.
Yeah.
I apologize for my London and European viewers. I like doing the pod on Monday or Tuesday, to give people a chance, but I unfortunately had some work obligations, wasn't able to do it last night. So we're here. So I greatly appreciate everyone tuning in. If you're going to have to listen to it tomorrow before the tournament starts, that's greatly appreciated as well. But I'm really just glad, we could get something together because at Tib, like we here for you. Like, Wednesday night, Monday night, like we here for you. Like we want to give you the best information and talk some golf for the major weeks.
It's always quality over quantity too. Like, not that TIB isn't like the #1 rated podcast in terms of viewership, but just already so many great names in the chat, all the way from Baba to Jers, Huey Mack. It's just I love this show because I have done like 15 hours of content at this point. So it's a real challenge for me to come up with takes that I haven't already said. So I can't promise that the takes that I say on this show, I actually believe or have any merit, but I'm going to try not to repeat myself. That's the goal.
No, that's fine. I've enjoyed your content thus far this week. The pod with Stevie Bam was great. Your betting preview, the Kobe show, all great stuff. And enjoyed all of it. We were listening to pods a lot this week, but overall, your thoughts. The week has marinated. It's Wednesday night. We're very close to it. Overall thoughts on the course, how this will play as a typical Open Championship course to more recent venues, like who you think this favored, just general thoughts on Troon Country Club, which my friend DJen called it. He said Troon Country Club, which killed me. It was actually
that's okay. I yelled at people for the people that call it LA Country Club, because no one fucking calls it LA Country Club. It's
it's not LA Country Club.
Yeah, no. It's LACC. Here's what I'll say about Troon. I haven't made a tremendous amount of changes to what I thought about this golf course leading in. And, that doesn't mean there hasn't been, I've had some incredible conversations with people that are on the grounds, like both on the media side, the friend side, the spectator side, like Jers, who's in the chat, has put out incredible content all week that I followed. And that's helped me shape kind of how I thought about the golf course. There's been a bunch of other people that have been around and listening to stuff and hearing stuff. But at the end of the day, I don't have like identity crisis the way I kind of did with Pinehurst, where on Wednesday night, I kind of decided that everything I thought about Pinehurst was incorrect. Not everything, but I'm being facetious at this point. The point is, I have my initial thoughts about Troon were that this is a golf course with a tremendously high missed fairway penalty, right? And if you're dumbing this down to an incredibly elementary level, I don't think there's a conceivable way to win this Open Championship without being a great total driver of the ball. Now, that is going to require distance and accuracy, because that's just the way that modern golf works. I would still say you're completely out of like some of the bombers that aren't accurate, like a Wyndham Clark, I think are going to tremendously struggle a lot more than maybe somebody who has average accuracy or average distance and really good accuracy. But at the end of the day, I think that this Open Championship will be defined by your ability to drive the ball long and particularly straight.
Yeah, and I think that when you look at, 2016 with Stenson's performance, I think that, he definitely had that mix of accuracy and distance off the tee. And he was always known as a really great ball striker, not the greatest putter and chipper in the entire world. But I think Stenson, for what, we think about the course, is kind of a very proper winner in that sense, in terms of what he was known for and how he played the game. So I think that, when you look at, the 2016 leaderboard, it doesn't really feel like a leaderboard. It just feels like two people. But, I do think, overall, 2016 kind of proved that a little bit.
100%. And I think the Stenson Mickelson final score is a bit of a misnomer of how hard Troon is.
Yeah.
Like this is,
and they made it a lot harder.
They did. And this is more, updated weather forecast versus like me really changing how I feel about the golf course. But I think on Friday morning, I said on the Bamford show that I did that my prediction was 17 under. And I still think 17 under's out there. I do think that somebody,
like in a vacuum, if you shoot 17 under, you could win.
Yeah, we'll get into the like there's a lot of players I like this week in a vacuum, but once you get out the vacuum, I'm not as high on them. I would, and I'm curious about what yours is, because we're still both, I believe, taking the over on whatever the prop is, but I
Vegas has it at 12.5.
Okay, well, then probably a no bet for me, because I was going to amend my 1700.
There's just no value. There's just no value.
Yeah, no, my numbers had it at 12.647, and the line's at 12.5. So it's a 90. No, it's no value for me.
There's no value.
I think that if you asked any player, and I haven't spoken to any players, I texted Benny on, he hasn't gotten back to me.
Okay.
I think if you texted any players, would they take 13, 14 under? I think based on everything I'm hearing about the golf course and what I'm seeing with the wind right now, that's close, that you're going to be there. I think that's at least you're going to be right there at 13, 14 under.
Yeah, I agree. And, from, what I've heard, the back nine is extremely tough. There are some really, really long holes that you're going to have to step up and hit big boy golf shots. All the par threes are very long, just like straight, like 190, into the wind, like, obviously technology's changed a lot, but, in 2016, these guys were ripping 3-4 irons into these par threes, so they're not going to give up a lot of scoring opportunities. The par fives are pretty tough. So I'm expecting a pretty tough major championship. I think it's similar to last year in terms of maybe -5, -6 leads after tomorrow, and it's just going to get more and more difficult. But I'm in agreement. I think, 13 to 16 is probably your winner. It's definitely not going to be as firm as years past. There's been a lot of rain in Scotland, as many people know. This year, I know a lot of people have been, deep into the weather forecasts and everything.
By the way,
but overall,
I just want to throw a challenge flag on anybody who's touting a distinct weather edge this week.
Yeah.
Are people? I don't know. I've been kind of busy all day, but I don't have any of these people that are telling you they know what's going to happen with the weather hit one golf shot in the British Isles, spent any meaningful time.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like a fool's errand to try and bet people based off of a tee time.
I'm not even being hyperbolic when I say this. I spent 10 days in Ireland in last September, and we started to make a joke about the days that it would say clear skies, we would get a monsoon. And then the days that I say all this to make the point that will some guys get boned? Sure, probably. I'm sure that's the case. I look at it more in pockets than a giant specific wave, because I think it's going to keep changing throughout the day. The only point that I'm making is, I think unless you are seeing something egregious with the weather, where it's very flat in the morning and then super high in the afternoon, which I'm not fat. It's not playing in a role in the players that I'm picking this week. Is it for you?
No, it's not at all. I did not look. I literally have not looked at the weather once. I just heard it's kind of the same. And I'm not going to make a decision based off it because it's so volatile. And I think even in 2016, I don't know if there was, I wasn't doing TIB back then, but I don't know if you could have been oh, this absolute afternoon wave is going to get wiped out and, just bet AM guys. I don't know if you could have even predicted it back then. So I don't think it's really an issue. But let's get into the golfers, the guys this week. Scottie Scheffler is your favorite. He's never won outside America. He's never won at a course he's never played before. He's never won on not a slapdick TPC designed 70-man field no cut event. People starting to ask the question, can Scottie do it in Scotland? How is the Trump assassination attempt factoring into maybe his prep for the week and everything? So me personally, I don't think he's going to win, but I do think it's probably a pretty good course for him. But something about overseas greens for him and different types of greens, I'm just out on. But I think, I will say, I think he'll play better than Pinehurst. And you could bookmark this. I don't know. I don't care. You could come back. I think he plays better than Pinehurst.
Yeah, well, he did. He was seen at. Oh, so good. He did allegedly shoot 63 at Turnberry the other day. And you know what that means. Like, anybody who plays Turnberry is like the most aggressively pro Trump. And if you don't play
they do not
Turnberry,
let
then you're
libs on the property.
Like libs are not allowed at Turnberry whatsoever. And if you play Turnberry when you're in Scotland, it's pretty much an endorsement.
Yes.
The point with Scottie is, I'm going to do like my 18 lackisms, pendulum swinging too far in a vacuum.
Everyone is saying,
like, we're going to see how many I can get to. But the only point that I've made this week with Scheffler is that we collectively, as an industry, I contribute to this, decided that he was going to win the US Open. And the difference between how we feel about him today and how we felt about him the week of Pinehurst is not correct. That's not that. There's way too much of a gap there.
Yeah.
And you look at it, I just said, if I'm dumbing this down to a highly elementary level, what is the most important thing at Troon? It's a golf course with an incredibly high missed fairway penalty. What are the golf courses on the PGA Tour with an incredibly high missed fairway penalty? TPC Sawgrass, Muirfield Village, Bay Hill. I think Scottie Scheffler's been pretty good at those courses. And that's
because they're slapjack CPC courses.
Because he can lift and separate because of his ability to hit the ball long and straight. When you combine distance and accuracy, he's probably the best driver of the ball in the world. So the point is, like, I think it's a better golf course for him than Rory McIlroy, straight up. And I think he is has a higher chance to win than Rory this week. And I don't know if that's a hot take, because
you can fucking bookmark it.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying Rory, who we'll get to next, but I think the pendulum has swung too far on. You should be more scared of Scottie than you are.
Okay,
that's what I'll say.
I'm with you. I definitely think. This sounds like dumb, but I really do think it will come down to the putter. If he figures out these greens and putts well on these greens, I think he'll be in it. That's not really a hot take, but he struggles on overseas greens. Like, that's a statement. That's fact, like 100%. So I think it's going to come down to that for it. We've talked a lot about Rory this week. I think that betting him at 8 to 10 to 1 is really a terrible bet. Truly. I think he could play well. I think he could finish T5, T6, but I think in general, he just has such a massive, compared to the other majors, he just has such a massive advantage at PGA Championships and US Opens that he's just going to always be there. And although you have to be long and trade, and he is incredible in that regard, I just don't think his course fit is warranted enough to bet at 8 to 1. I think he'll be there. Like, I think he'll mix, but I predict, like he usually, does at Open Championships. I think that, there'll be points where he's relevant, but I think he'll, finish at the top 10. But I don't know if I see him in one of the two final groups.
Yeah, I think that, like, Rory is probably the second or third most likely player to be relevant in this golf tournament. So I'm basically just grading him on the scale of, would I bet him at 8 to 1? Would I play him in DraftKings over Scottie Scheffler? And my answer to that question is no this week. And it's very simple. I think that coming off of what happened at the US Open with the missed short putts, Rory had an opportunity to do something really cool and make short putts. And Rory putted terribly in Scotland. Like, Rory missed multiple putts in Scotland of the exact same length that he missed in the final round at Pinehurst. It was one of his worst putting performances of the year. So I don't know if that's mental. I don't know if that's scar tissue. I don't know if that's a focus thing. I don't know if that's, Harry Diamond body snatching him and hitting the putts for him, like people seem to believe at this point. But at the end of the day, the margins are so slim at the top. And if I'm not sold on every aspect of this player's game, I'm not betting him at 8 to 1.
Yeah, I agree. I think he'll be relevant, but I'm just not so sure. And I definitely think, I don't know why he should be 8 to 1 every US Open, not 8 to 1 every Open Championship would be, kind of my take on that. Bryson, I think that in general, a lot of people aren't as high on Bryson as maybe these other courses. I you know, I do think he could figure it out. I do think that, this is maybe a bit more nuanced test than Pinehurst, which he won. I think in general, I'm looking to fade golfers off a major victory. I think it's very hard to play super, super well and contend at back-to-back majors. I'm not going to say that, he's going to.
Did we lose Brian? No, Brian. He was talking about Bryson. I like this golf course a lot for Bryson. It's kind of a I'll vamp right here on Bryson for a second. I think it's a good course fit for him based on how straight that he's hitting his driver. I think that Bryson's ability to hit the ball both long and straight, I think the straight aspect gets lost in that. I'm kind of with Brian in the sense that I don't think he's winning back-to-back majors. That's incredibly hard to do. He has a very poor Open Championship record outside of St. Andrews, which I think was not the best comp course for what you're going to see this week. So my thoughts on Bryson are he scares me in terms of his upside a lot more than Xander. And I think if your reason for not playing Bryson is he's too wild off the tee, I think that's an incorrect reason because he's very straight off the tee. My reason is more so just can't play him all. Didn't have room for him on the betting card and not expecting him to win back-to-back majors. I don't think Xander's a serious threat at this tournament to win. I think Xander is going to finish a non-competitive T16. Not playing him in DraftKings, full fade for me. Brian's texting me right now. I mean, I could just run through the board if anyone wants questions. I rip a solo podcast on agronomy every Sunday morning. I could easily carry this show. So if you want to throw in any questions in the chat, any guys that you wanted me to talk about, I'm happy to, but I could also just go through the board. So yeah, I don't like Xander. I actually would say that I'm way more afraid of Bryson than I am of Xander to win this tournament. And I feel kind of similarly about Ludvig. I think it's a very sensible fit on this golf course based on, can you discuss Chalk Rye, Connors Morikawa? Can't lay Rye. I don't think we need you, dude. I was going right down the board. I did a whole thing on how Xander's going to finish T16. I closed the book on Bryson. People were starting to ask questions about different players. Like, you're probably good to log off, man.
Do we want to talk about Ludvig?
Yeah, we were getting right there. So
I don't want to do a whole Ludvig thing.
Yeah, we skipped Xander, by the way.
You're okay. I'm fine.
I covered Xander. He's not winning.
Is Ludvig jag? Is he just a guy?
I know this is partially a bet, but I think this take is going to age so like bad milk, Brian. I think Ludvig is so uber talented and he is so young. And I just want to remind you that Ludvig just turned.
He's young?
He's 24 years old. Okay. So Brian, the age that you started slobbering all over Zalatoris when he started competing in majors, the age where Scheffler started competing in majors, Ludvig's not even there yet. He's not even as old as the first time that Zalatoris fucked at a Masters. He's not even as old as the first time that Scheffler fucked at a Masters. So we don't need to have a State of the Union on, is Ludvig going to be okay? He's ahead of schedule.
I think my take in general is that I'm not going to even entertain Ludvig at his current prices until he wins a big boy event, which he will, obviously. Obviously, he's going to win a major. I just think that his number is crazy considering like just his current resume. And I know that he mixes a ton and everything, but I just need, if you're going to be this price every week, I still need a little bit more, and I need him to close a big boy event, which he will. I'm not going to say he's never going to. Like, I just think in general, I'm just out on his current prices. And obviously it's half a bit, but I still need him to win a big boy event before he can be these prices is my opinion.
I partially agree with you. Like, I'm not running to the window to bet him at 18-1. I guess the only counter that I would say to that is I'm looking at the FanDuel pricing right now, and it's like Scheffler, Rory, Xander, Morikawa, Bryson. Then you get to Ludvig, who's the 6th favorite. And I would ask you, the 5 guys after Ludvig, Tommy, Rahm, Hatton, Hovland, Brooks, Cantlay, who would you put ahead of Ludvig? Like,
I'm not saying that he should. I just think he should be a little bit higher. And I understand, like, but in some places he's lower odds to win than Colin. Like, I don't get that, like, necessarily. I know on this specific book, like, I just don't know how he is lower odds in a lot of places than like Colin in specifics. But I do agree. Like, I just think, and I understand the book's perspective. If he was at 22-25, like, he would get absolutely pounded. I understand that.
Yeah.
I just want, from a guy who won the RSM Classic, like, I just want a little bit more. He's obviously extremely talented. He's not going to suck on Sundays forever. I'm sure he's going to win a big event soon.
Yeah. Can I ask you a quick question, and then we'll move on, because we got a lot of guys to get to, and I unfortunately have another show at 8. What would have been more impressive for you if Ludvig won the Travelers and missed the cut at the Masters, or finished T2 at the Masters and was uncompetitive in most of the signature events?
I think winning overrates contending for me.
At a major, I disagree, but I understand your point now.
I just think that
Ludvig hit 30 of 36 greens at fucking Pinehurst.
No, I understand. Like, I totally understand. He has all the talent and the runner-up of the Masters. He lost to the best player in the world, who is going to dominate at the Masters for the rest of his life. So I understand that. John Rahm, are you back in second in live point standings? High number. Like, is this in a vacuum? I think is a good Rahm course. I like Rahm. I think he'll play well. I didn't bet him. I just kind of wanted to bet more guys, but I definitely was considering him in a vacuum. Do you like Rahm this week?
In a vacuum, I like him. Like, I highly considered him betting as well, and I ultimately settled on Fleetwood. I'm playing Rahm in DraftKings. I think it's inconceivable that he's going to waste a year of his prime. And if he does, then I'm sorry, it's not premature to have a buyer's remorse conversation, because this guy has the opportunity. This guy has the opportunity to go down as like one of the best European golfers of all time, and he just threw away 29 years old, which is wild to me. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to T10 this week, but I don't think he's going to win.
I don't, I like Colin. I think Colin, makes a lot of sense this week. I'm not there on the number. I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to, I don't think he's going to win 2 Open Championships in 4 years. I think this is a solid spot for him. The game's been unbelievable. The consistency is, some of the best on tour. I genuinely just do not think he's going to win 2 Open Championships in 4 years. And that's it. That's the take.
I'm 100% with you. I was just responding to messages in the chat. My main reason for not betting Colin is it's too soon for him to. That's kind of a bit. Like, I understand that. I understand that makes Kyle skin crawl, but
he has him at 30-1, so I mean that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, there. Kyle has Morikawa with Daniel Jones over 2,750 passing yards and RFK to win the election. Don't at me. Yeah, he's not winning 3 majors.
That's it. That's fine.
Birthday.
That's easy. That's I think the golfer we disagree with on most, without a doubt, is Tommy Fleetwood.
Yeah.
I do not think that there's a golfer in the field with less of a chance to win. I think his number is absolutely ridiculous. I don't even think he's had that unbelievable of a season to be at this price. I genuinely don't even think. I think he's less likely to win, overseas where he's supposed to win than some random PGA Tour event. I really don't like the bet. I always respect your opinion, and I'm sure you have a great case for it, but I am completely out on betting Tommy Fleetwood outright in really any capacity.
Yeah, I don't even know if I have a great case. Like, I kind of agree with a lot of what you're saying. And I think the reason why I landed on Tommy Fleetwood is because, I have a very robust card of a lot of long shots, right? And I feel very good that a lot of my long shots are going to be there. And I feel similar about Tommy. I think that he has one of the highest likelihoods to be relevant in this tournament on Sunday, almost as close as I feel that way about Tommy, almost as close as I feel about Rory. I think Tommy, in my opinion, and you can rank your four, the most likely people to be relevant on the Sunday back nine at the Open, relevant, they are showing them on coverage. They have a chance to win. In my opinion, Scottie, Rory, Colin, Tommy.
I don't know how you can put Tommy in back nine Sunday. I think at one point in the week, he'll probably start hot and play well. But to say back nine Sunday, I think that's a big
will
ask.
He be the live? Will he be better than 25-1 at one point this week?
If so, it was a good bet.
Because I'm Vic laughing at if he is. If at any point Tommy Fleetwood is better than 25-1 in this tournament, then it was a good bet. No, I can give you a lot of boring course fit stuff about his ball flight and his
second and good drives gained.
Yeah, and his accuracy off the tee and his proximity distances and his open record, whatever.
But he just doesn't have dog. It's fine. It's okay. Yeah. I'll be rooting for you, true no beef situation. I bet Hatton 28-1. I think that a lot of people in general thought this would be a good spot for him, just given his play on Live, given his performance here in 2016. But I do think that, he's a pretty solid major player. I like T9 at the Masters. I want to see some major success. I really don't like the fact that he hasn't necessarily mixed in a major, super heavily. I don't really know ever if he has, but I just think that what he's doing on Live, you look at the GUR percentage, you look at the fucking fairway hit percentage, you look at the putts per green, and he's percolating. He's doing things. They do not hand out trophies to anybody at Live Nashville. Okay, you have to earn it. And I think that was a really impressive win, dominated the field. Is it a good number? No. Is he a gutless loser? Kind of. I'm just in. I'm just betting it.
Yeah, I hear you. I think there's a little straw manning going on in your reasons for what is the case for Hatton having more dog than Tommy? They have.
He won Live Nashville.
I'm looking. I know, but you use Live as a bit to discredit Live. So now we are using Live Nashville as a reason why Hatton has more dog than Tommy. I'm just throwing a challenge flag. Tommy and Hatton have the same number of career wins. Tommy has better DP World Tour wins and has been a better Ryder Cup player. So I'm just throwing it.
I just said, is Hatton a good number? No. Is he kind of a loser? Yes. I understand that. But my thing about Hatton is I guess he hasn't blown it as much as Tommy has. They have, not a lot of wins on the PGA Tour, but he hasn't been in, the same amount of situations as Tommy, which you can obviously point us to a positive about Tommy. Well, he's been there and eventually the cards will fall his way. I just, Hatton's definitely not, a prolific winner or anything. And I would, like I just said, I would like him to mix a little bit more in majors before I think he knocks one off. But, I like the way he's playing on Live.
Yeah, fair enough. I just think the dog rankings are equal. Like at least
I would put Hatton slightly ahead, but he does not have a lot of dog, and I'm fine admitting that. I really am.
Okay.
We're both on Pat. We're both on no hat Pat.
Yeah, we're both on Pat. Like, I actually low-key think he's my pick to win.
Patty Ice.
Yeah, I feel like somehow more comfortable giving, because I mean, you would do your like lowest odds bet as your pick to win, but like even I don't feel like Tommy's gonna win. I think Pat's my pick to win.
I love
what am I gonna say? Russell Henley? Like I think Pat's gonna fricking win the Open. Like I just think that we've been waiting for him to mix in these majors for so long, and then he finally does it. And it's like, why is he 45 to 1 still? And I think you're of a similar mindset where, you know, it was more of a number play than anything for you.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a very solid number. You got to mix to win. He mixed at the U.S. Open. He tasted contention. Like, I think this is a good spot for him. I think last year, more so than this year, he's an elite, like, total driver, distance plus accuracy, like really, really good off the tee. And, you know, he hit it well at the Travelers, which is always kind of a spot. I don't like the layoff that he's kind of been on. But, you know, he's someone, again, I trust with the putter. I trust in really all facets of the game. I don't know why he's 45 to 1. Like, I think it's a pretty solid number. And I don't necessarily love the fact that he's with Tiger, but he'll be okay. I'm not too worried about the Tiger pairing with Patty Ice. I mean, you know, he stared down Rory in the Open champion. I mean, at the Ryder Cup, like he can handle some nerves.
Yeah, I would agree that I also think like it's a good course fit for him too. Like there's no reason to believe that he shouldn't play well on a golf course that tests like total driving and overall approach play. He's been hitting the ball a lot better the last couple of starts. So totally with you on KLA.
Squad ride again on Finau.
I know. How do you feel about this one? Like
I feel great about Finau. I really do feel as though, you know, there's a few negatives. I wish he played the Scottish. He was doing some fucking sermon on Sunday. Like, you know, I think that's Kobe take. Is Kobe would be like, if you're doing a sermon at a church on Sunday of the Open Championship, you really don't care to win. Like, it's not that important to you. So I understand that. But just the way he's been playing and the way he's been hitting the ball on a ball striker's course, I mean, it's just not even a question. This is a no-brainer at 50 to 1. I've been betting him. I bet him at the Travelers. I bet him at the Memorial. He mixed at the U.S. Open, his best major finish in a really long time. He really has super, super high upside with his irons. Great driver. 50 to 1, 40 to 1. Like, I just think it's a really, really good number. And I think he's just as likely to win as a lot of the guys in the 20, if not more. And I think if the cards kind of fall his way, he could definitely win a major champion, champion.
Do you have any concerns about the injury? I feel like that's been a bit of a, okay.
No, I don't think that's a thing. That's not a thing. But I think the T degree game will travel, and he'll be in the mix this week. First round leader going out early. Love that. I really like Tone first round leader. I nuked it. I don't know if he's on your first round leader card, but I really like Finau this week.
Okay. I agree with you. I bet him too. I don't have a ton to add. I've heard for what it's worth that the injury stuff is fine. Like it's definitely a thing, but it doesn't seem to be bothering his play. And I think that's what's most important. I don't think it's like anything more than, you know, Scottie with his neck, you know, when he wins all those things. All right, so both on Finau. Is he your official pick to win? Is he your favorite bet on the board?
I've been telling everyone Rye's going to win, who are also on together. But, yeah, I think Rye or Finau. Those are the two first bets I made this week. Those are the two guys I was most interested in at the beginning of the week. Whenever I think a guy's going to win, he usually doesn't win. But I'm okay with that. You know, I'm okay with kind of putting my cards out and saying I think X golfer is going to get it done this week. But I would say one of those two are definitely my picks. So who else have you bet on your card past Finau? Who are the guys you're kind of lurking around?
Okay, so Russell Henley, Aaron Rai, Corey Connors, Siwoo Kim. All those guys are over 100 to 1, and I bet every single one of them. And
And Louis.
Jason and Louis and Jason Day. I forgot I bet Jason Day. I don't
you
know
bet
why.
Jason Day?
150 to 1.
Really?
Yeah, I think that there is a strong roadmap here for players that hit the ball really, really straight and are good overall approach players to have a lot of success. And I'm not just being a prisoner of the moment with Brian Harman. Like, this goes back, way farther in the past with Open Championships. Like, you go back and even look at like Zach Johnson's profile, like Francesco Molinari's profile, like Colin Morikawa's profile. I know some of those guys are like considered better overall players now after they won the US Open or after they won the Open Championship. But like, there is this massive precedent for being in good form, hitting a shit ton of fairways, and being a good overall approach player. And I think there are multiple guys at 100 to 1 that are live to be there, to be around. I do.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that earlier in the week, I was maybe a bit less thinking about distance, but I do think that on the back nine, you're going to have to hit some long drives and hit them straight. So that worries me a little bit about guys like Rye and Russ, but I do think that they have a much better roadmap to contend that they would at all the other majors. And this is definitely the least distance biased major. So I think that's pretty easy. Are you surprised with Louis being 65 to 1 currently? I know you bet him 110, but is this like a fair price? Because I think it's one of the most craziest prices on the board, Louis being 65 to 1 to win the Open Championship.
Yeah, I think with Louis, like, that was a bet that I made on Monday morning at 110 to 1 on FanDuel. I was very happy with that number. I think you go through this experience often. Maybe not, because you tend to bet a little bit later in the week than I do. But I'm still happy with the 110 to 1. I still think Louis has a chance, but it's just one of those bets where you're sitting there saying, like, gosh, is Louis really going to compete after not hitting what I asked this question with Rom. When is the last golf shot of consequence that Louis Oosthuizen's hit?
I would say probably the Stinger playoff at Live Adelaide. Like, I don't really know how that wouldn't be consequential.
That's
like, especially with the fan, environment there. Like, I think that was definitely a big moment for Louis. But yeah, no, I think it's a crazy number. I don't really know what it is. Is Sahith really popular this week in DK? Is he highly owned?
Yeah, Sahith's going to be like 15%.
Really?
Yeah, which I don't really agree with. I worry about him. I worry about his driver a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that this is necessarily a spot for him. Like, I think last week, it was okay if you were a little bit more loose off the tee, and he played great. And I think it was a good spot for him. And I think he could putt really well on these greens, but I don't know if the ball striking is necessarily there for Sahith this week.
I don't know. I'm not total. I know he's played well on some golf courses with like higher missed fairway penalties, but I'm still not totally sold on the accuracy. I think Sung Jae is probably like the other one that is catching a lot of steam in DraftKings. I would say I'm a little bit more scared of Sung Jae's course fit than I am of Sahith, just because Sung Jae actually fits the profile that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, and he's been hitting the ball great. I just think there's something up with him in majors. I think it would be really good for his career and his, standing in the golf world if he really truly mixed in a major. I know he's been relevant at the Masters, but those are kind of early the week, not really a huge deal. But yeah, I do like Sanjay. I do think he could play pretty solid. Do you want to give the Rye case, or should I? Just because I really think that Aaron Rye is the Brian Harman of last year. I think it fits a lot of the same molds. Just a guy in extremely good form coming in. That's a good ball striker. He's found something with the putter. I don't love necessarily the ball striking from last week at the Genesis, but in general, Aaron Rye's game is a great ball striker that can't putt. And now he's, found some success with the flat stick. And, I think we're maybe due for a bit of a wacky winner. We've had 3 pretty straightforward, makes a lot of sense, amazing golfer winners for the majors this year. And I think we're due for maybe, something like an Aaron Rai, in the final group on Sunday. I think it'd be a big ask to win a major for him, but I really think that he'll be extremely relevant in this tournament. And I do think that, a top 20, top 10, top 5 first round leader is a great spot to deploy him.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, that's why I laid out the case already, is that if there's one major for that type of player to be able to win, it's the Open Championship. And that's why I constructed my card around Aaron Rai and Henley and Corey Connors and Siwoo Kim. And, Sung J M is going to be very popular for that same reason as well. Does it worry you a little bit that actually, to be honest with you, maybe this is a hot take. Like, I'm not sitting here and saying that one of those guys is going to win. I'd be pretty shocked if one of that mold, whether it's Rai or Connors or Henley or Sung J or Siwoo, I'd be pretty shocked if one of those guys doesn't play a pretty relevant factor in this golf tournament.
No, I definitely agree. And I think that, this is going to be a leaderboard. I don't think that it's as at Liverpool, if Brian Harman wins, I don't know. And Tom Kim and Sepp Straka are up there. I don't know how much distance really played a factor there. You think that distance will play a bigger factor here than last year at Royal Liverpool, right? You're going to have some pop.
Yeah, I totally agree. I do think that distance will play a little bit more of a role at Liverpool, but I don't think to the point where, first of all, a lot of these guys, we use the Brian Harman example. Rai, for example, is not crazy short. I don't think Rai is by any means short enough to not compete at this golf tournament by any means.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. I'm very confident in Rai this week. And I think that, it's kind of a tougher sell at 70, 60 to 1, but I do think that that's a pretty proper price on him considering his, recent form. Again, we've seen people win majors with no major success before, not that long ago. It makes it a bit tougher, but I'm in, and I think it's a good spot. You gotta head out.
I gotta run, buddy. I'm doing another show. I gotta do another show for the RPS folks. So if anyone wants to hear more of the stuff, I'll be more. But yeah, I gotta.
Him and Kyle are building the lineup.
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun over there. But this was always a blast, man. I'm so excited. We're getting dinner on Friday night. Myself, my girlfriend, you, and Kyle. She met you guys and didn't end the relationship. And I'm gonna take that as a W because, I think that if people just parachuted into our group chat at times and all of our jokes were about Shinnecock and January 6th and vacuums, they would think that we're not real human beings. But yeah, I can't wait to see you on Friday. We'll have a lot to talk about.
We're painting the town.
Yeah.
Hopefully we have some mixers going on at the time, and we're gonna have something to Vic Lap Friday night.
We're gonna go out to some bars, and Brian's gonna be like, "Yeah, I have had," and he's two back.
It's really no big deal.
I don't know what you want me to tell you. Yes, this is the Open. I actually hit Brian Harman here last year, 150.
If you didn't know, that's kind of my event. So I think Thursday of Open Championship Thursday and Friday Open Championship last year was one of the best days ever. I had 2 first-round leaders, and then Brian Harman.
We played golf that weekend. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
we played golf, and I told you Brian Harman can't win.
Yeah, you walked into my house and you said Brian Harman's not winning this Open, and I think we were watching and he put a 9-iron to 2 feet. You're like, okay, maybe he can win. I don't, that was kind of the turning point for you. But looking forward to seeing you. Will you be up watching golf early, or you're going straight to the course?
No, I'm going to go to sleep, and then I'm going to go play golf in Westchester and come back.
All right. Well, I hope you have a great round. Enjoy your pot. I'm going to stick on and talk some more. But okay. We will see everyone next week for the 3M Open. Can't wait.
Okay.
All right. We're here. We're doing it. We're live. It's weird to be solo right now. DJ, you weren't in earlier. This is a golf jersey. It has Spieth on the back. It's actually a great concept, and you should check it out. It's called Kickback Golf. They sent me this. This was, one of the only ones I could comment. I wasn't flexing that I went to Texas. That wasn't it. I also bet Sepp Straka won 10-1. I think that's a pretty solid number. T2 at the Open last year. The recent form, he might have peaked. I definitely do agree with that. But the ball striking numbers from earlier in this year were really, really, really solid. Just couldn't chip or putt at the U.S. Open, but hit the ball really, really well there. And he's just someone I trust consistently enough off the tee to get there. 110-1. I thought that was a pretty solid play. So I'm in on Sepp this week. Jay Kinney, they're made for you, dude. You got to buy some. I don't have a promo code, but you got to get some golf jerseys. It's a medium. I think it's, baseball jerseys aren't supposed to be, super tight. Like, I think it's a good fit, DGen. So maybe just don't come onto my stream and just start saying that I'm wearing too big a shit, because I don't appreciate that, to be completely honest. But true no beef situation. It's really fine. Do I have much more on this Open? No, I think my overall thoughts are, I think Tommy is the worst bet on the board. I have FOMO on Hovland and Rahm. I think one of them will be relevant. I don't know which. I don't think Collins getting to 3 majors. Hatton, it's kind of a sucker bet, but I really do think that he's playing really good golf, and it might not be, fully known on Live. Finau, winner. Cantlay, winner. I bet Connors as well. He's a form guy. He could be a Harmon of last year. He's good overseas. I like that. Yeah, Connors is really a solid play. I really do think that he should be lower odds than 80-1, just given how well he's been hitting the ball and, what he's done overseas. So that's easy. Lowry, no. I think Lowry is genuinely a one major guy. I do not think that Lowry is going to win 2 majors. I think that he's set at 1. I think it's probably a pretty solid course for him, but I don't think the form is necessarily there for him this year. So I'm out. Brooks or Zal? I mean, Brooks is half the odds of Zal. I think it's pretty easy to say Brooks there. I think in general, Brooks is a solid play. I don't, hate a Brooks bet at 40-1, just on talent alone, just on major championship play alone. Reports are from the grounders that he's striping it. So I like Brooks. I think Brooks is a pretty solid play. I really don't have much issue with that one. I in general I'm very excited for this week. I'm waking up early. I'm going to watch. I love early morning golf before I go into work. It's going to be a great week at the Open Championship. Now, if anyone, I need to bet people for the CUDA. And if anyone has any Barracuda thoughts, let me know, because I looked at the board and I haven't found stuff that I necessarily love. I like Chan Kim. I like, who was it? I like Sam Ryder. I like Troy Merritt. Those are kind of the guys I have circled for. Yeah, he's actually been pretty bad, Troy Merritt. I don't know if I'm necessarily in on Troy Merritt, but I need to dive in and finish my card for the CUDA. But there's just not a lot speaking to me. I wish more people were playing it. But overall, I'm on Hatton, I'm on Tone, I'm on Cantlay, I'm on Connors, I'm on Cam Young. Can Cam Young win? No, probably not. But the form plus the Open history, he should never be 7-1. Ryan said, I feel pretty solid about my card. I genuinely do. If anyone had any questions, if anyone's doing their pools and need advice, I've been doing that. So let me know if anyone, wants any advice or anything. Jay, congrats on Harry Hall last week, you might be the alt event whisperer, might need to tail the card. Down for that. 100%. Cam Young's time, shout out John. He's, for whatever reason, he's a Cam Young guy. I don't know why there are Cam Young people, but he's one of them. And this could be a week for Cam Young. I feel pretty solid about it. I don't know if I'm going to do a pod next week for the 3M. The field's going to be terrible, and I might just take it off, to be completely honest with everybody. But appreciate everyone who listened. Sorry for this Jordan pod. Just kind of the way it goes. But hope everyone has a great night. We'll be tweeting all week. It's going to be worth it to wake up early tomorrow. I'll be up. I'll be tweeting. So we'll talk soon, and I hope everyone has a great night. Thought on Abe answered. No. I think he could maybe finish in the top 40, but I think in general I'm out on Abe answer. But see everyone soon, and have a good night.